Stop giving into the 3D situation as if it were a final fact and the universal truth. There is nothing useful in the 3D for your manifestation, except if you use it as feedback. There is nothing in the 3D indicating whether you can manifest your desire or not. Circumstances don't matter. I know you have heard this a million times. And in this video, I want to talk about why they don't matter. This is going to make your manifestation journey a bit easier. If you need a more personalized help with your manifestation, you can book a one-on-one coaching with me from the link in the description box below. I would love to help you with anything you are manifesting, or you can join my Master Manifestor mastermind group where we meet every week to discuss your situation, your manifestation, and the challenges that you are facing in your manifestation journey. Also check out my courses. The links are in the description box below. So let's talk about specifically unwanted situations in the 3D. And on a human level, it is absolutely understandable that you are giving into it, that you are even reacting, and you're doing everything that we learn in conscious manifestation that we shouldn't be doing. Humanly, it's understandable. We are used to living in a 3D physical world, and we are also used to that that's the only truth that there is, that matters. But when you become aware of manifestation, you need to make yourself used to the fact that the 3D is only a mirror. If you are having a very undesirable, unpleasant situation, all that is telling you on a manifestation level is that you have been having negative thoughts. That's it. And now it's manifesting. This also means that your mind isn't choosing which thoughts and beliefs and assumptions and stories to manifest. It's manifesting whatever you keep persisting in. This is why we want to, again, not give in to the 3D. When I say don't give in to the 3D circumstance, what it means is that if there is anything in the 3D that you have to deal with, do that. That's not the problem. The problem is when you dwell on the problem. Because you need to always remember and remind yourself that manifestation happens from the mind. It's your mind that is creative, not the 3D. The 3D is a mirror showing you what you've been doing in your mind. So if it's the mind that is creative and you are dwelling on the problem, you are using your mind to focus on the problem and thus manifest more of it. This is how unwanted situations manifest. Nobody does that on purpose, of course. But you need to start paying attention to when you are imagining the situation the way that it is. Your mind is a tool to shape your physical reality, and you can use it to choose the realities, the circumstances that you actually want to experience. This is the reason circumstances don't matter, because the circumstance that you're going through, even though it seems impossible, fixed, the person is not going to change their mind, whatever it is, the money situation is not going to change for this and that reason, whatever there is in the 3D, that is not creative. And that is a circumstance that doesn't matter. Because if you go inside your imagination, go back to your imagination, and you start imagining things differently or affirming things differently, however you use your imagination, that circumstance doesn't have the power to stay the way it is if you change the scenario in your mind and you persist in it. This is why circumstances don't matter. This is why you have heard it a million times. So whenever you are in a situation that seems very fixed, the more you focus on it, the more fixed it's going to seem. And it also creates this illusion that you are powerless. The idea that it's fixed is also an illusion, and it becomes stronger the more you focus on it. So when you pull yourself out of the 3D and get back into your imagination, and you start what I call doing the work, basically. I don't call that, Neville calls that. Doing the work, meaning imagining things the way you want them to be instead of the way they are. The first thing, or one of the first things that happen, is that you start feeling powerful. You start feeling in charge. You start feeling like everything is going to be okay. And it creates this beautiful feeling state that you want to come back to. In order for that to happen, you have to start somewhere. And I promise you, starting is the hardest part. Force yourself, if you have to stop dwelling on the problem, on the situation the way it is. Your mind is not going to stop creating just because something happened in the 3D. The more you keep your mind on the problem, the more you prolong it. You prolong it, you keep manifesting it, and it starts feeling like stuck. In reality, you are not stuck because manifestation doesn't stop. It's just that you continue manifesting the same thing over and over again. It becomes on autopilot, you have the assumption, and it looks the same on the outside, but manifestation doesn't stop. So whenever you shift your focus and you stay there a bit, have a little bit patience with yourself if it doesn't change overnight. It can, everything can manifest any minute. So also don't create assumptions that it needs to take a long time just because you have had this negative assumption for a long time. It doesn't. That is also an assumption. So don't cling to what you have known until you discovered manifestation. Shift your focus, stay in the new reality in your mind for a bit, and your 3D has to change. And also remember, please. If you are, or you feel like you're doing the work and nothing is working, it's not because the law is not working. It's never because the law is not working, or it works sometimes or here and there. I have, to be honest, read comments on my channel that people weren't able to manifest some things, so maybe the law doesn't work for everything. You either manifest everything or you don't manifest anything. This is not something that works here and there. And most of you, many of you, have experience with conscious manifestation. Like I said in the beginning of the video, your mind is not going to choose what it manifests, either good or bad, negative, positive, or big or small. So even if you have manifested a small thing, such as a cup of coffee, your mind doesn't care whether it's a small thing or a big thing. You focus on it, it manifests. So even what I'm trying to say is that even if you have only manifested small things, take that as experience and take that as proof that manifestation works. The law of assumption works. This is a law. So whenever it doesn't work, it's because the person who is applying the law is doing something off. Your focus somehow, somewhere, is on the opposite, on the lack. You need to figure out how you do that. It's often on the 3D circumstance or the old, or you have a general belief that contradicts your manifestation. So as soon as you start changing that assumption, the 3D circumstance that felt so fixed and so true and real is going to crumble and change. So make sure that your focus is not actually on the physical reality, on the 3D. Again, if you have things that you have to take care of, do that. Otherwise, in your mind, dwell on the desired outcome. That is where the creative power is. That is where you're manifesting from. So whatever circumstance you are dealing with currently, it is still your mind that is manifesting, and it is your mind that manifested it in the first place. So you can even take this as an encouragement, because if your mind manifested that, your mind can manifest something else. So figure out what it is you're dealing with assumption-wise and work with that. That is far more efficient than trying to fix things in the 3D. Trying to fix things in the 3D, what Neville Goddard calls manipulating the 3D, can give you temporary results, but if the old assumption is still there, at some point it's going to kick in and manifest and create a similar situation that you then have to deal with again. The best way to solve problems in a way that is lasting is to work with your assumptions. Even if you have had the assumption for a long time and then you start affirming, and for a bit it can feel like nothing is happening, nothing is working, nothing is moving. Make sure not to focus on that either, because that is also focusing outside of you, focusing on the circumstances. It works. A lot of times things move, but we can't see. It's not in front of us so we can see it, but movement is always happening. Thought is energy, and energy doesn't know place and time. So as soon as you start thinking, it's starting to work. The reason it takes long time, often, not always, it doesn't always take a long time, but sometimes it does, is because we have an opposing belief. It comes up, we dwell on it, we do back and forth. This is a normal manifestation process. It happens. It's just that you need to make sure that you go to your desired end goal more often than you contemplate the undesired. And this back and forth, when you do the work, when you actually apply and do the work, at some point it stops. At some point your mind starts sticking with your new story. That becomes on autopilot, and that starts manifesting so that you don't have to affirm forever for this particular thing. But if you're constantly doing back and forth, affirming and then dwelling on the problem, giving into it, taking it as facts, spiraling down, then pulling yourself up, then starting to affirm again, and then back and forth like that, this prolongs the process unnecessarily and creates burnout. People give up because it looks like it's not working. In reality, it is working. You're just going this way. So pick a direction, stick to that, and it has to work. And remind yourself, this is the law of assumption. It's a law, and it's the law of assumption. So what am I assuming? That's it. So therefore, since the law is of assumption, there's nothing for you to work with in the 3D. Again, unless you are taking it as feedback, something unwanted happens and you take it as, okay, I have that assumption, so that's what I need to affirm. Or imagine, or do inner conversations, or script. Choose your favorite technique or several, do those, and that's it. I hope this was encouraging. And again, no matter what your circumstance is, it's still your mind that is manifesting. It's not the circumstance. It's not the other person. It's not the job. It's not the fill in the blank. It's your mind that is manifesting your experience. If you need a more personalized help, you can book a one-on-one coaching with me from the link in the description box below, or you can join my Master Manifestor Mastermind group, where we meet every week to discuss your manifestation, your journey, the challenges that you're facing, and also check out my courses. Have a beautiful day and see you in the next video.